Hey everybody, this is Zachary Jeans, and I'm coming to you live with Lenette Hawkhill on Your Impact Matters. Impact Matters is a community, a chat that is around the concept of finding out which methods and means and mindsets are most impactful, most effective in a wide range of topics that come up in our life and our work, you know, whether it be mental health at work, or how to lead well at work, or how to have compassion in our organizations and our family, any number of topics. And this week, our guest, Lenette Hawkhill, helped us with a conversation around developing healthy relationships. So I want to invite Lenette to share a little bit about who she is and just give us a chance to get to know her. Hi, Lenette.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, I know you're an educator. Can you share with us your background and what you're up to?
Yes, I am Lenette Hawkhill from Louisiana. I serve as our school's librarian, reading specialist, NIET mentor, and I've been an educator for over 18 years. Started in the classroom. I have at least over 10 years of classroom experience, and 8 years of coaching teachers and being an assistant to my principal. Of course, I have 2 graduate degrees, one in curriculum and instruction and the other in ed leadership. My journey is over. I aspire to be an administrator. If not, then we'll just work along with that in coaching teachers. I am a mother of 2 daughters who are attending college, and they are attending together, which I am happy for that.
Wow.
Money.
Yeah.
I have my spouse who I've been in love with for over 26 years. And family is a big part of our lives. And of course, relationships, that's my mantra. If I wanted anybody to remember me about, was having relationships with others, because I'm also a Navy veteran. And the biggest part about my journey there for 6 years was establishing relationships with people on all walks of life, whether it's enlisted or officer. And I feel that it's the relationships that last forever. In contact with my old boss, he was a captain and he retired as a rear admiral, and we still get together on Sundays and we talk to each other about just life. So those healthy relationships are awesome to me.
Wow.
In anything, work, school, religion, anything that you have going on for you in today's life.
Wow. Well, let me jump in there and actually ask you. So, with your background in serving in the Navy, you know, I served for about a year in the Army. Did not have a good experience. But yeah, I got stuck in holdover for an entire year. That was not fun. But it definitely broke me down and built me back up. And, you know, that's kind of where my faith journey started. So the things that made it possible in my experience in the military were relationships. I love that you've held on to those strong relationships with, like, the captain who became an admiral. Can you talk about, when you talk about relationships, so let's get into some specifics. What are the elements that you learned from your experience in the Navy around building good relationships? What are some of the elements or components of a good relationship at work or in your career that you drew out of your time in the Navy?
Building, just getting to know a person, and how I stumbled across different people and things was my skill set. Everyone has a talent, I feel. And if you can just focus in on that skill set, you get a lot. Well, in the military, for me, I gained respect because I was the lowest person on the totem pole. I was an E3 at the time, and someone saw me in a corner. And of course, they knew of my administrative skills. And the captain of the dental clinic said, well, I think that you're losing all of your skills just being in here. why don't you come in the office and work for me? And of course, you know, everyone, and especially with the military, is like, how did you get that job? And it's like, you know, talking, conversing, my previous things I've done, just skill sets, and just being friendly, being the same person, being consistent, and never showing someone. There's always a good and bad side of everyone. But I think when you go to work, you leave all those things behind and you be that same someone all the time. And I think that's really helped me in a lot of situations.
Yeah. So being consistent and showing up every day, it sounds like, to work with that consistent, you are who you are. You give people a chance. You know, really that builds trust, because they can trust your character. They can trust that, you know, when Lenette shows up, she's not a different person on the weekend as who she is there in the office, and that you treat people with that respect up and down the chain of command. So as a person with a couple of graduate degrees, one in leadership and one in, what was the other one in?
Curriculum and instruction. That's my reading specialist.
Yeah. So you've gone through the process yourself in education, and now working in education and aspiring to be an administrator. Where do you feel that you're getting to exercise good relationship practices in your role, working in the librarian, working with students, you know, in their reading capacity, coaching teachers on better practices around teaching? And then how do you see those things that you're bringing in, that you're learning or giving back in those relationships? How do you see those translating to being an effective administrator should you step into that role?
Is the trust. Right before coming to this, the Twitter chat, I met with a teacher I'm coaching on the side because they've given her another role. And it's such that she's like, oh, well, you're the same when we're at school and after school, and it's always a lesson learned. And I give her things to work on, and I let her see herself evolve. It's like, I'm not going to give everything to you. I want you to do some research yourself, I say, because in order to be great at any craft that you do, you have to read, research, and reflect. And I think I've just developed something with the R's. I just love the R's. And it was like, you keep telling me these things over and over again. And I said, well, marinate on it. I said, it's just like a good gumbo that we do here in Louisiana. When you get the right flavor, you'll know. And then you can come and you can reflect and talk about those things, because it could be anything. We share our experiences on family, religion, all of those things. But, you know, being in the education arena, it's not difficult. And she thought it was a curse that she had to get another subject. She's going from math to ELA, and she thought it was a curse. And I said, look at it as a blessing in disguise, because we all have tools. That's just something extra on your tool belt, and it builds experience. And I said, once you build that experience, it devours into wisdom. And I said, that's the things that you want to gain if you're going to stick around in education for a while.
You know, it's interesting. My last guest is somebody that you know, Marlena. Yes. And she works as an administrator, right? And we were talking about education, and so some of in my world, I float from technology into education spheres. I talk with folks that are, you know, in higher ed and trying to make sure that universities, as technology advances, that they advance with it. A lot of universities are facing lots of cutbacks, student enrollment, so forth, and you know, they kind of paw and they're trying to scratch at what's going on. And really what's happening is today's careers, there's a lot of demand for skill sets that are learned in other ways than in the classroom. And so a lot of universities are scrambling to begin to teach those things or provide opportunities to do those things. I guess my question to you, as it relates to education, what is something you're seeing as being helpful or effective in education for helping kids grow up? You have two daughters in university. What is something that you're seeing that's helpful for kids growing into adults to be able to use education in these growing tech jobs, in these new environments that maybe education hasn't trained for in the past?
Basically goals and taking those risks, putting yourself out there, because I have a daughter who takes risk all the time, and she's successful at it because she's not afraid. And if we don't step out into our zone, step outside of that comfort zone, we're going to find ourselves in a lot of trouble. Many educators, and I find that it's really appalling to me, because they're afraid of technology. And it's like, wow. And then they're much younger than I am, of course. And it's like, wow, I just don't deal with it. I just don't want to deal with it. It's like, you have to put yourself out there. And really those goals that they set, not the comfort zone goals, those uncomfortable goals that gonna make you think a little, is gonna make you feel uneasy, but you have to challenge yourself. And there's more challenges, because I have one who plays it safe, and then when something hits her, it's like, well, Mom, I'm like, no, you did not put yourself out there enough. The goal was to be uncomfortable. And she has lots of skill sets, but you have to set those goals and take risk. And the risks that you take are the ones that's going to make you feel very, very uncomfortable.
Gotcha.
And of course, on your question with the universities, on for them. And I think they've lost, when they've lost the classroom, because now this is our classroom as we speak. When they've lost that one-on-one personal connection, now it's like you just do it virtually and hope that someone you capture will get it.
Wow, that's excellent point. Yeah, it's like with technology, it's a blessing. It opens up so many avenues to learning. You can do so many things virtually. But talking about the relationship in the classroom, that one-to-one connection where learning can happen, perhaps deeper, right, than just putting it out there in a virtual classroom. My son, we've homeschooled, and he's participated in different forms of what that is. This last year with an online learning academy, like a full-on deal with, teachers and assignments and stuff. But, we found that the curriculum was really patchwork. It was a real mess. And it was really surprising to me, because, we paid a fair amount for this particular course. It really made me feel that the stuff that we had put together for the first 4 or 5 years was far superior than what we were getting from this one where we were paying what? Like, $3 grand, $2,500 a year for this online course where somebody's just grading it. But, the person-to-person connection, right? Let's talk about that. So in a classroom, when you're assisting somebody learning how to read or to read, more effectively, this stuff, you're sharing stuff with the way you communicate with your face, the way you pause and ask a question in real time. What are some of the things that you have learned are really effective about having a one-to-one relationship, say when you're teaching reading, when you're coaching, a teacher in a new career change, like you were discussing?
That close proximity.
Okay, gotcha.
Being close to that person, because they want to have that support. We all like crutches. And if you kind of walk off, they're not going to be as attentive as you are right there with them within close proximity. And you share those things with them, you encourage them. And I think a lot of people, especially kids, they like for you to be there. It's attention. And you're a parent, you know how your son is with you. He wants you right there, and there are ways of, okay, now let's do this together, and just being there. I think just being there as a support mechanism, close proximity, that body language, all of those things that we get as a parent, as a teacher, I just infuse all those things together. And it's the same with the students as with the teachers.
That's great. That's great. So maybe we can close with this. How can people follow up with you if they have questions? What's a good way to contact you? I think you have a lot to offer clearly around these concepts of building relationship, you know, from the time that you spent in the Navy to your time, you know, obviously raising two girls into young women who are at college, you know, that's a process in itself, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, making this transition or you're in a place of coaching and teaching, and then you're aspiring to something, right? To another level in your career. How can folks connect with you best, Lenette?
On my Twitter handle, it's at LM Hawkhill.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, same handle.
Okay.
My email account is lmhawkhill@gmail.com.
Good deal.
Internet, it's all the same.
Nice. Yeah. That's great.
Instagram is all the same. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been Your Impact Matters. We've been talking with Lenette Hawkhill, and she is an educator, Louisiana, and she is our guest tonight on Your Impact Matters. So thank you so much, Lenette.
You're welcome. Thank you, Zachary.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks.